The worst day of my life started out quite pleasantly. I got up at 5:30 and played sports. After my workout, I ran 3 miles. It was very foggy and I was alone on the track. After 3 miles, I cooled down by running straight sections and walking in circles for another 2 miles. When I got home, I took a shower. By the time I got dressed for work, Sarah had already placed a muffin and a glass of chocolate milk on the bar for me. I kissed her and hugged her while I drank the milk. She complained that I wrinkled it and ruined her lipstick, but she melted in my arms. She still made my heart race every time I saw her. At 31, she was more beautiful than ever. Her blonde hair became even lighter, almost white, and went down to her buttocks. Since I took her to prom, she has noticeably plumped up, turning from skinny to a real beauty. Her breasts became bigger and firmer, and working out with me turned her small buttocks into something I could squeeze in my hands. She was still just over 5 feet, but she proved that big doses came in a small bottle. She was moving quickly in the legal field and was now on the rise. After our daughters were born, she attracted the attention of large corporate clients, and the firm began talking about partnership. She earned almost as much as me, and I was going crazy. I had just been promoted for the 5th time to become the head of the architectural department at a large company of engineers and architects. I kissed her again and grabbed my briefcase and muffin as I left the house. "Have a nice day, beauty," I waved at her. She blew me a kiss as she started getting the girls ready for school. Shesh left for work an hour later than me, and I took care of the children before bed. My other joy was in the garage. I only owned it for 6 months. It was a burnt orange Charger Hellcat. I've been driving Chargers since I was 16. My dad helped me buy a 1968 RT that was still sitting under the carport. I would occasionally take it out to listen to the sound of the powerful Hemi engine through the Flowmaster exhaust pipes. It wasn't as fast as the Hellcat. I love hearing Mustang and Camaro owners show off their little toys. Just 2 days earlier, one of the engineers was showing off his new Shelby GT 350. More than 500 horsepower. He tried to impress Maria in the next office. I smiled at the thought of the 700-plus examples Hellcat made. I actually liked all the new pony cars, but they weren't in the same universe as the Hellcat, Charger, or Challenger. Hot rod owners are the class of people I like. And we all have kids of our own and love to tease the other guys. I had a great day at work. I finished the power plant our project team was working on at about 130 and took the rest of the day off. I washed my baby. It was a beautiful day and I could see myself polishing it as I put it in the garage. Sarah texted me and said she would be a little late. She was at a conference and will be home around 5. At 3:30 I was in the kitchen, making chocolate chip cookies. I had 2 pans and a plate ready on the counter. I heard the door open and 2 angelic voices coming from the living room. 2 little blonde pixies set down their backpacks and flew across the kitchen to hug me. Carmen and Cambrai, my children, were at home. They are twins and the cutest little bundles of joy on God's green earth. They have my mother's hair, freckles, and big blue eyes, but they have my complexion. Sarah knows how to tan, but I am naturally olive complexion, and they have my skin tone. It was a contrast to their hair and eyes. When they get older, they will have their hearts broken. At 8 years old, they were simply adorable. They fought like hornets, but only with each other and Sarah. They were just honey and silk with me and did not allow anyone to say anything bad about the other. Sarah had a hard time with the 2 of them. I know. They loved their mother very much, but every time she corrected one of them, the other always took her sister's side, and they could argue as loudly as their mother. They outdid each other by telling me about their day. School just started a week ago, and they really liked the new teacher. Miss Brooks was new to the area, and I had yet to get to know her. She definitely made an impression on my girls. I fed them chocolate chip cookies and tall glasses of milk, listening to them with a stupid grin on my face. Yes, they were my angels and could do no wrong. They each ate 3 cookies and went upstairs to do their homework. Homework when they got home was my rule, and then we had the rest of the evening to do whatever we wanted. I took the last sheet of cookies out of the oven and placed them on a plate. I heard Camry call me and started up the stairs. I felt something strange and realized that my phone was vibrating. I took it out and received a message. The number looked familiar, but it wasn't in my contacts. I checked it while walking up the stairs. You were a hot and sexy babe today. I read. I can't wait for tomorrow. Although I appreciated the compliment, I had no idea who would send me such a message, since I had no plans for the day other than work. I assumed someone had dialed the wrong number. I decided to prank whoever it was. Thank you, baby, I wrote. Remind me again of the time and place. I received a reply. Are you using Shell's phone? Be sure to remove this. Sheldon couldn't get suspicious too soon. Of course we do. I froze in place halfway to the girl's door. I'm Sheldon. Sheldon Clanton, and my phone number ends in 9. Sarah's is the same, but it ends in 8, and the girl's in 7 and 6. Someone made a big mistake. I was numb and couldn't move. Carmen looked at me. Dad, we need help with this math problem. What's wrong, Daddy? Both girls stood up and stared at me. The look on my face must have shocked them. I shook out the cobwebs. Nothing. Girls, it's just bad news. There's no need to worry my kids. I lied. Let's look at this math. 5 minutes later, I heard the garage door open. Sarah was at home. I heard her walking, and after a minute, she stuck her head out. What's for lunch? She asked. Hello, loved ones. They jumped up and went to hug her. They came back and sat down, and Sarah came over and put her arms around the back of my neck. She bit my ear. I'm gonna take a quick shower, she said. We finished counting, and I asked the Munchkins if they wanted to go to Incredible Pizza. They were everywhere, and by the time they were dressed in shorts and t-shirts, I was already waiting in the car. Mom won't come, asked Carmen. She's had a long day, I told them. Let's give her a rest. We'll turn off our phones, and it'll just be me and my angels tonight, okay? They fell, and we had a great time. I forgot to turn off my phone, and it vibrated a dozen times. I ignored it and got back into gaming and mediocre pizza. We got home at 9:30, and Sarah was asleep on the couch with her phone in her hand. I pressed my finger to my lips, and we tiptoed upstairs. They went to bed, and I went to get clothes for tomorrow. I went to the spare bedroom and locked the door. I lay awake until midnight and heard a quiet knock on the door. Shell, what are you doing? I heard stage whispers. Open the door. Where did you go, and why the hell is the door locked? Why are you there? I didn't answer, and she knocked several times. She called my name a dozen times. Before she gave up, she clearly didn't want to wake the girls, and I heard her footsteps walking down the hallway towards our room. Well, this was our room. I didn't know what it was now. I got up at 5:30 and grabbed my clothes. As I walked into the garage, I heard her alarm go off. I got into the Hellcat and retreated. I saw her walk into the garage as soon as the door came down, and I drove to the park. I usually ran on the school track, but that day I ran in the park. My phone rang a dozen times, but I ignored it. I took a shower and got dressed for work. I asked my buddy, Marcus, to lend me his Ultima at noon. I felt like I had betrayed everything I believed in this thing, but it looked like every other little boxcar on the road, and I wanted to blend in with it. Sarah's car was at the office. I stopped on the other side of the street and waited, parked opposite. The windows were tinted, and I knew no one could see me inside. At 2:30, Sarah came out and got into her BMW. I followed her at a discreet distance, and we drove into the suburbs. When she turned into a residential area, I realized where we were going. My brother Mark lived there. Well, now I understood why the numbers seemed familiar. I never got along with him, and we rarely communicated. The only time I saw him was at family events, and that was more often than I liked. I saw him put his hand on Sarah's buttocks 2 years ago, and I hit him. We haven't spoken since then, although his wife and Sarah spent a lot of time together. I parked opposite, and she drove into his driveway. When she came out, she looked upset. She went inside, and I went out and walked around the back of the house. I've been here hundreds of times. I couldn't believe my eyes. Mark's wife, Chloe, was lying by the pool. The situation became more and more strange. She looked up when she heard the back gate slam shut, and panic flashed across her face. "Sheldon," she gasped. "What are you doing here?" I walked up the steps to the deck, and Chloe ran up to me. "She'll wait. Don't go in there. I need to tell you something." "Wait." The screen was closed, but I could hear their conversation. Sarah was very worried, and he tried to calm her down. "I'm telling you something is wrong," she said. "He slept in the guest bedroom last night and left this morning without saying a word. It was a mistake. Mark, I need more time to convince him. I know he thinks Chloe is beautiful, and we just need to let her work over him. I love my husband and will not risk my marriage and children for this. You can talk him into it," he told her. "We've seen the way he looks at Chloe. Don't be scared now. We've discussed this a dozen times, and you know you want it." "Yeah, I liked it, but I don't want to lose everything. If he sleeps with Chloe, he won't be able to say anything, and we'll just switch partners sometimes. You still want it since you're here. I can see how much you want it. Look at your chest." "Yes, but not that much. If Shell ever finds out about this, it will kill him. I'm not going to do that." "Mark." I peeked and saw them standing in the living room. He pulled her towards him and kissed her. She resisted for a minute and then allowed him to kiss her. I took a few pictures and a short video. He began to lower the zipper on her dress, and she tried to stop him. What I saw was enough for me. They jumped up when they heard the screen collapse, and I entered. Sarah screamed, "No. Oh, God. No. Sheldon, it's not what you think. Please. Shell, I'm so sorry." I walked past them to the front door. Sarah rushed towards me and hugged me from behind. "Please, Shell, let's just go home. It's not what it seems. I promise I'll explain when we get home." I walked out without another word and got into the Ultima. All three came out and tried to catch up with me. I drove back to the office and returned the keys to Marcus. 30 minutes later, my phone started ringing. I ignored him. 5 minutes later, my secretary called. "Your wife is on line 3, she said. "Tell her I'm unavailable," I said. I spent the rest of the day staring at the computer screen. "Your sister is on the phone," I heard 5 minutes later. I allowed her to call. "What do you want?" "Chloe." "Shell, we need to talk about this," she said. "Why aren't you home?" "You need to talk to Sarah. She can explain everything. Mark and I will be there too. We'll discuss this like rational adults. It's your brother and your wife, Shell. You need to calm down. Why is it that when someone has hurt you and made you angry, they always tell you to calm down? This only made me angrier. I don't have a brother," I told her. "If that asshole is in my house when I get back, I will rip his belongings off. If I see you there, I will spank you all the way to the door. Don't ever let me see you or hear your voice again. Chloe, tell that asshole that if he sees me, he better start running." I hung up. 20 minutes later, my father called. "Sheldon, what's going on?" he asked. "Your brother and Chloe are here. They say you threatened them." Sarah called, and she was crying and hysterical. I didn't understand anything. "What did you do?" "Sarah is sleeping with Mark, and he and Chloe were planning on cuckolding me." "Dad, I don't have a brother. If I hear that you allowed either of them to be in your house after today, I won't have a father. If Mom lets them in or any of you ever say their names in my presence, I won't have a father or mother. Guess what? You raised a jerk, and now you'll have to choose a side. Oh yeah, you won't see your grandchildren. You can't talk to me like that." He started to heave, but I hung up. Maria came in and asked me something, but I didn't hear what she said. Sheldon, I asked you a question, she said louder. I shuddered. Oh, I'm sorry. Maria, what did you say? Are you okay? She asked. Tears flowed down my cheeks, and I couldn't stop them. She came up and put her arm around my shoulders. Did someone die? She asked. I'm so sorry, Sheldon. Who is it? I think this is my marriage and my family, I told her. The whole story came out as I covered my face with my hands and cried. 10 years of my life flashed before my eyes. 10 wonderful years with the woman I loved and who I thought loved me. Did she sleep with him? She asked me. I think so, I said. She was going to do it again today. She thought I suspected them and wanted to call it off. Why did she do it? Maria, I loved her with every cell in my body. I would have died for her. How could she do this to our girls? What did they do to deserve this? Sheldon, go home and talk to her, she said. Find the answers to these questions. You will never rest until you do. Get out of here. I hugged her. Thank you, Maria. You are a good friend. Please don't tell anyone about this. She looked offended. God, Sheldon, how can you say that? You know I won't tell anyone. I apologized, and she hugged me again. I know you're upset. Just go home and try to work things out. My phone kept ringing until I got back to the office, and I turned it off. As I parked in the garage, Sarah ran outside. She stood near the door, and I just sat there for a minute, collecting my thoughts. She started hitting the window with her fist. Sheldon, just come out and talk to me. Please, I'm begging you, just talk to me. I opened the door, and she tried to hug me. I pushed her away. I think she was in shock. I have never been a cruel person and never raised my hand to her in anger. Don't touch me, Sarah, I told her. You make me feel like I need a shower. She began to sob. Okay, I won't. Please, Sheldon, let's just come in and talk. You have until the girls come back, I told her. When they get back, the talking will be over, and we'll pretend everything is fine. Do you understand? They're not involved in this. And if you upset them in any way, we're done. This time is not enough, she cried. Can we talk again after they go to bed? I don't know, I said. It depends on what you say now and before I take them away. You have an hour and a half. Make the best of this time. I'll try, she promised. Please, can we just sit down? I followed her into the living room, and she sat down on the couch. Patting next to her, I sat down in the chair opposite the coffee table. This made her cry again, and she covered her face with her hands. I sat and waited. You're wasting your time, I finally said. She grabbed a towel from the bar and wiped her face as she sat back down. She could barely speak because of her tears. I'm so sorry, Shell, she said. I made a huge mistake. I never thought you'd find out. I love you so much. You love me, so did you sleep with my brother? I asked. Don't say that, she begged. It sounds so cheap and dirty. That's cheap and dirty, I said. There are no ribbons here. This is what you did. You would have done this today if I hadn't caught you. I never intended to sleep with him. It just happened. I'm so sorry, she cried even harder. I don't know what I was thinking. Before we got married, I was a rebel. Shell, you know that. I met Mark before you. I slept with him a few times, and after he met K.H. Lowe, the three of us still dated sometimes. I know you think she's beautiful, Shell. I thought the four of us could. All I needed was sleep with him. I finished for her. No, I just wanted us all to love each other. We could be together. I was going to include you. I swear, Shell, you had a meeting arranged for this afternoon. No, I told him I wouldn't do it. She began to cry. Yes, because you thought I knew. What if I didn't know? I wouldn't do that. It doesn't matter. You found out anyway. How did you know? Who cares? I screamed. You were going to sleep with that bastard. Do you know what that makes of you? Sarah, please. Shell, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it would be like this. It doesn't have to be so ugly. It could be fun. I'll still be with you. You can sleep with K.H. Lowe. I got up and ran to the bathroom and started vomiting. I vomited for a minute, and she tried to. Give me a wet wipe and pet me. I pushed her away and rinsed my mouth. We returned and sat down. Did you hear what you just said? I asked. This could be fun. The next thing you'll say is it was. Just sex. God, Sarah, do you realize what a cliche you've become? It makes me want to punch you. Yes, hit me. Shell. I won't say a word. I deserve you to hit me. Punish me. Do whatever you want. Please, just forgive me. I didn't think you'd know. I never thought about how much it would hurt you until I thought you knew when you left with the girls. Last night, I knew something was wrong, and when you didn't want to sleep in our bed, I just knew you were very much. You're suffering. I knew you found out. I wanted to tell you and apologize, but you didn't let me in. I got up early to tell you and beg you to forgive me. But you left before I had the chance. I should have waited until please. Shell, I'm begging you. Do you still love me? Damn it, Sarah. How can you ask me that after what you did? I loved you. Yesterday morning and last week, and for the last 10 years. That didn't stop you, did it? How the hell did you do that? Do you expect me to trust you after this? How do you expect me to believe everything you say? I don't know. She cried. I will give you back your trust. I will prove that you can trust me. I will do anything. Just tell me what you need me to do. Do you want me to sleep with Chloe or someone else? I'm okay. I won't tell. Please just give me a chance to come back. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. Yes, I've made a lot of mistakes. I make mistakes every day, I said. Last week, I forgot to pay my cable bill. I spilled paint on the garage floor. I didn't forget that I married. And neither did you. It wasn't a mistake. It would be a mistake if you thought he was I don't know how to get over that, Sarah. Tell me how I should get through this. I don't know, she cried. I'll do anything. We can get help. I'll go to counseling. I'll wear a bracelet. I'll quit my job. I'm desperate, Shell. I never meant to hurt you. I don't want to lose girls over this. Please, give me a chance to fix this. Oh my God, girls, I said, I need to get them. Come to your senses, Sarah. If you're not okay by the time I get back, I swear to God, I'll kick you out of this house. Not a hint, you know. Yes, I'll take a bath. I'll behave, I promise. Can we talk again after they go to bed? Don't promise me anything, Sarah. Don't make me promises, I screamed. You threw away the only promise that mattered, giving up all others. Do you remember this promise? She just collapsed. Yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot. Shell, can we talk later? Yes, we can. I'm leaving. Not for example. Kicking your head, Sarah. I was 10 minutes late picking up the girls. When I arrived at the school, I saw them sitting on a bench in front of the school. A woman sat between them, hugging them. She was a young woman of unknown ethnic origin, possibly Hispanic and black. She looked like she was about 25 years old. As I got closer, the full impact hit me. This woman was stunningly beautiful. She looked tall and slender and had the biggest, warmest brown eyes I had ever seen. Her eyes sparkled gold, and the mop of shiny curls on top of her head framed one of the most beautiful faces I had ever seen. Her skin was a light coffee color and flawless. She smiled as I approached, and her face lit up like a beacon. Her teeth flashed, and she nudged the girls. They looked up and saw me coming. They jumped up and flew across the grass, and a little girl engulfed me in an avalanche. You're late, Daddy, Canberra said. I'm so sorry, baby, I told her. I lost track of time. This will not happen again. It's okay, Carmen said. Miss Brooks is staying with us. She stood up from the bench, and I was mesmerized as she walked over and extended her hand to me. Mr. Planton, I'm Carly Brooks. She said, I love your girls. I'm so lucky to have them in my room. Sheldon, I took her hand. She had long, thin fingers, and they were cool and soft in my hand. I realized that I was holding on too long and timidly lowered her hand. Thank you so much for waiting with them. I'm so sorry, Miss Brooks. I could barely speak. This woman was a walking wet dream. She was wearing a white blouse. The first two buttons were undone. There was an acre of smooth brown cleavage. Her breasts were so damn fantastic that it was almost impossible to look at her face. She sighed, and I saw her gorgeous breasts jiggle and jiggle. Carly, she corrected me. Sheldon, do you think I can talk to you for a minute? Girls, could you wait in the car for a minute? I asked. Just for a minute? They hugged their teacher and, holding hands, walked to the car. She smiled after them. I hope you're very proud of them, she said. They are the sweetest kids in this school. That's why I wanted to talk to you. They were upset this morning. They told me that their mother cried this morning and that she cried all the way to school until she dropped them off. Is everything okay at home? Did someone die in the family or something? I swore to myself. No, Carly, it's not okay. It will happen, and I will make sure it never happens again. Their mother and I have great difficulties. I'll make sure they don't interfere with this. It's a pity. Can you talk to me about this? She asked. I'm a good listener, and I'll do anything for these little girls. Thank you, but I can't talk right now, I told her. It hurts too much, and I don't know what it will lead to yet. I appreciate it, though. Maybe when everything goes smoothly, I'll tell you, but right now it's too painful. Her hand reached out and her fingers gently stroked my jawline. I realized that she was very tall. Her eyes were almost level with mine, and I was 6 feet 3 inches tall. She smiled. Her hand dropped, and she walked back towards the building. I watched her for a minute. Beneath that gray skirt was one of the most fantastic asses I've ever seen. She was poetry in motion. She looked over her shoulder and smiled when she saw me watching her. My face turned red, and I walked to the car. I felt the touch of her fingers on my cheek for hours. The Munchkins chatted happily until we were almost to the house. Daddy, Mommy cried this morning, Carmen said. Were you rude to her? I laughed. Maybe a little, I said. I won't do this anymore. Okay, she said. I don't like it when she's sad. Bree doesn't like it either. I know, I'm really sorry. People fight sometimes, you know? I know, Daddy, Canberra said. Carmen gets mad at me all the time, but I don't give her the pleasure of crying. Hey, you're such a big scoundrel, Carmen retorted. I had to laugh. None of you are evil. People just argue sometimes. I'll try to be kinder. You are always kind to us, she said. Sarah was still in the bathroom when we got home, but when she came out, she was quite normal. Her eyes were a little puffy, but she smiled and hugged the girls. We had a nice dinner. They sat on the floor at our feet, and we watched TV. It was a pleasant interlude, but I was afraid to go to bed. I read it to them and kissed them good night. I saw Sarah watching from the doorway with a sad smile on her face. She left when I turned off the light and waited at the foot of the stairs. Do you want to talk in bed? She asked. I won't sleep with you, I said. They'll find out if you don't do it, she said. Don't do this, Shell. Make me feel as good as possible. I need you to hold me. I need you to not be. Never mind. I caught myself. Tears began to flow down her cheeks. We undressed in silence, and I lay on my back and stared at the ceiling. I felt the bed shake and knew she was still crying. Shell, do you want to make love? She asked quietly. Jesus Christ, I exploded. I'm going to the spare bedroom. She grabbed my hand. Please, Shell. Sorry, don't go. Please just talk to me. I won't touch you, I swear. I do not want to lose you. I don't know what to do or say. I'm just floundering. Please just punish me and then forgive me. I'll never. I know I won't make any promises. Shell, do I have a chance to do this before you? Do I even have a chance? Honestly, I don't know how to do this. Sarah, I said, I despise you so much that it kills me. I've loved you since we were in high school, back to where we were. How do I know you won't just sleep with the gas guy to pay the bill? Damn you, Shell, this isn't fair. I'm not a girl of easy virtue, and you know it. You are the only man I have ever loved in my life. Don't tell me what's fair, I growled. Is it fair to me that you fucked that asshole for God knows how long? Is it fair that the man who's loved you since we we're in high school has to deal with the fact that his wife is a bitch who's trying to trick him into being one too. Is it fair that our girl's mother is a liar? Is it fair that you are a liar and a deceiver? Don't tell me who you are. What are you? Damn it, this won't work. I don't want to listen to your bullshit. You won't even take responsibility for what you did. I want you to leave here in the morning. You're gonna tell the girls that you're gonna stay with your sister for a few days. I don't care what excuse you give them. Come up with something. You know how to lie. Just leave when I get home. She started crying hysterically. I'm sorry I said that. Sheldon, please don't make me leave. No, you made a choice to do something nasty to asshole. Without taking me or the girls into account. I do this and don't consider you. This is my home. I inherited it from my grandparents, and I don't want you here. When can I come back? She cried. I don't know. Maybe never. Don't make me angry, Sarah. Maybe after some time I will feel better. Maybe you can come up with some way to fix this, or I'll come up with something. I can't breathe. Next to you. Every time I look at you, I see that bastard unzipping your dress. I'm going to the sofa. I left her crying on the bed and took the pillow to the sofa. The next morning I left again at 5:30, and she still hadn't woken up. When I picked up the Munchkins after school, I was told that she had stayed with Aunt Sophie to help her while she was sick. They were a little upset because they had to work with her in a 5-kilometer race on Saturday. I told them I would work with them instead, and they were happy. Sarah called them, and they talked for a long time about 8. She texted me and just said, I'm so sorry. I took Friday off and Sophie called me. She wanted to come and talk to me, and I agreed to talk to her. She's Sarah's little sister, and I've always had a soft spot for her. She got angry when I opened the door. She walked in and poured herself a cup of coffee. She was about 14 when Sarah and I met, and she was just an angel. After Sarah and I got married, she spent more time at our house than at her parents', and we were still very close. What the hell is wrong with you? Sheldon, she spat. Sarah is dying in my house. And you just sit here and let her. She didn't stop crying the entire time she was there. Come, pick her up and bring her home. Did she tell you why she's here? So she made a mistake and slept with them. Sheldon. So she showed him her tits, and he groped her, and they did the dirty work. You forgave her last time. What's the big deal? I couldn't believe my ears. Why the hell are you talking about the last time? I said. I felt very calm. Her eyes widened, and she put her hand to her mouth. My God, she gasped. She never told you, right? Sophie, tell me what the hell you're talking about. I said. No, she said. I'll let her tell you. She promised me she would tell me, and she told me that she did. And you forgave her. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm so sorry, Sheldon. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I came here confused, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk to her. She kissed me on the cheek and had not even been gone 10 minutes when the doorbell rang. It was John and Alicia, Sarah's parents. It won't be pretty. I invited them in, and we sat at the bar and drank coffee. We're very disappointed in you, Sheldon, Alicia began. Are you disappointed with me or Sarah? I asked. You kicked her out of the house, John said. Why should we be disappointed in her? Did she tell you why? I asked. We haven't seen her, Alicia said. Why don't you tell us? Look, I love you both. But I won't say anything, I replied. If you want to know, ask her. In the meantime, maybe you should do a little fact-checking before you give up on anyone. Now, you can always come here. You can see the girls anytime, but don't come back here to talk about it with me again. Find out what's going on, and then we can talk once. It's really none of your business right now, so I have to go finish my coffee. Wait until the girls get back, whatever. But I have to go. I left them there with their mouths open as I climbed into the Hellcat. My mind was spinning. The conversation with Sophie shook me, and it was only delayed by John and Alicia's visit. Apparently there was another incident, and Sophie knew about it. Sarah promised her that she would tell me about it, but she didn't. This puts everything in an even worse light. Now what should I do? Driving my car always brought me at least temporary relief. And I took the interstate north. There wasn't much traffic, so I sped up a little. I looked at the speedometer, and it read 85. It was good. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw the new yellow Mustang GT behind me. He was too close for the speed we were going, and it made me angry. I stepped on the pedal, and the big Hemi began to hum. The supercharger howled, and I rushed forward as if I had been launched. This engine burns a gallon and a half of gasoline per minute at full power, and the 650 pounds of torque spun the wheels like a freight train. The Mustang began to lag immediately. He held on until we reached 120, but by the time I reached 150, he was just a yellow speck behind. I took the next exit. I needed gas, and there was a store along the road. I drove up to the pump and swiped my credit card. I heard a nice-sounding engine on the other side of the pumps, but didn't pay much attention. "Sheldon, is that you?" I heard a woman's voice. I looked back and saw that yellow Mustang standing there. Carly Brooks was getting out of the car. She approached me towards the pump. "I took the day off," she said. "I thought it was your car that sped past me. I tried to catch up with you to wave. God, what a cool thing." "I didn't know you were into cars," I said. "Nice pony you have. Is it stock?" "No, I put a lot of work into it. I can't believe how you just left me. This is the coolest muscle car ever made," I told her. "But I like Mustangs too." "What are you doing here?" "I live here," she replied. "And you?" "Just trying to blow off some steam," I replied. "That bad thing I told you about turned into a mountain, and I just needed to clear my head. Going as fast as we were going could have landed us both in jail." She laughed. "How about I buy you a cup of coffee, and you can tell me how to clear my head?" "Miss Brooks, I don't think you want to hear about my problems," I said. "I told you to call me Carly," she said. "Come on, there's a Starbucks down the street. I'll tell you a story, and you tell me, okay?" I agreed and filled up her car for her. We went there, and I ordered my usual triple espresso, and she got some kind of latte with a lot of foam. She took a sip and looked at me. I couldn't help but laugh. "I have a mustache, right?" She smiled. Yes, I wiped her mustache with a napkin. Her huge brown eyes looked at me with some special expression. "What happened to you?" she asked. "Why were you driving so fast?" "Driving fast is to me what whiskey is to other people," I said. "When I'm upset, I go racing or running. It calms me down and helps me think." "Why did you need a shot?" she asked. "I don't want to dig in. You just look like you need someone to talk to." "Carly, are you married?" "No, I was engaged once. Do you mind telling me why you're no longer engaged?" I asked. "Yes, but I think it's only fair that you be honest with me," she said. She took a sip of her latte, and I could see her gathering her thoughts. "I can't do this," she said suddenly. "Sorry, Sheldon, I have to go." She stood up, and I saw tears running down her high cheekbones. I stood up and walked over to her. I pushed her back onto the bench and sat down next to her. She objected, but I ignored her. I took one of her long, slender hands in mine. "I'm so sorry, Carly," I told her. "I didn't mean to upset you. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want. I didn't set conditions. I was just trying to find where to start." "Okay," she said. "If you don't let me go, I'll crawl under the table." "I'm sorry, Sheldon, but I can't discuss this right now. It's too painful for me." I let her go. She stood up and hugged me. Those delicious breasts poked my chest, and I froze like a steel rod in seconds. "I just need to go," she said. "I'm sorry I couldn't help you." "It's okay," I told her. "Will you let me buy you another cup of coffee someday? I promise I won't make you cry. Girls usually need to get to know me before I make them cry." She gave me a wet smile. "It's not you. Yeah, call me sometime. I love your girls, Sheldon. I know you're a good father." She left, and that little yellow Mustang squealed its tires as she pulled out. It was time to pick up the girls, and I went after them. They did their homework, and we went to Red Lobster. There was a promotion for unlimited shrimp, and we all love shrimp. By the time we were finished, our table looked like a shrimp graveyard. The next day there was a 5K event, and I planned to run. This was put on hold as Sarah couldn't be there, and I agreed to work. We stood at a table at the 3-kilometer mark where there was water and Gatorade. As runners approached, they could grab the bottle and take it with them. There was supposed to be another worker, but he didn't come. I heard a car approaching, but the trees hid us from the road. I was surprised when that yellow pony pulled up and Carly got out. She looked amazing. She was wearing yellow shorts and a t-shirt that did little to hide those amazing breasts. They emerged from the car a few minutes. Before the rest of it, she stopped for a minute when she saw us at the table. The girls squealed when they saw her and ran to hug her. They took her hands and led her to the table. I could tell she felt uncomfortable. "Hi, Carly," I greeted. "How lucky we are." She smiled and relaxed. "Reward for virtue," she smiled. We all chatted happily for a while, and I heard a car approaching. It was a huge Ford pickup truck. You know, the ones guys buy to show off their size. Well, you get the idea. It was huge, so the owner must have had a huge... Well, the door was 5 feet off the ground. I recognized him. It was the baseball coach. He was this aging sports hero of the school. Everyone knows this guy. His glory days as a star. Athlete 15 years ago established him in his own eyes as the Earth's gift, especially to women. He had a shaved head and was about 6 feet tall. He trained. It was obvious and walked with his arms almost parallel to the ground so everyone could see how strong he was. His name was Hawk or Falcon or something like that, one of those names for birds of prey. He approached the table with an important look. "Carly, how are you doing, honey?" "Mr. Harrier," she said. "I won't tell you not to address me as you. We're not friends, and if you call me dear again, I'll file a complaint for creating hostility." Working environment. He opened his mouth in surprise. "Do you like girls?" He was very angry. Of course, this could be the only possible explanation. Why any woman did not fall to her knees before him. "Your wife didn't complain when I pleased her," Carly said. The girls gasped, and he even recoiled. I stood up, and he saw me. He was probably 20 years older than me and 10 kilos heavier, but he was a bully, and bullies really don't want to find surprises. He didn't know me, so he came back and got in his truck. "Girls, I'm so sorry I said that," she said. "This man has been harassing me since I came here, and I'm tired of it. That's no excuse. I'm so sorry." Bree hugged her. "It's okay, Miss Brooks. We don't like him anyway. He keeps an eye on all the young girls on his team. He's a stalker." Carly looked at me, and we both laughed. "Remind me never to make you angry," I told her. "You have a cruel nature, Carly." The first runners started to arrive, and we were busy as bees for a while. I asked the girls if they wanted to go winging with Carly after this, and they were really excited about it. She agreed to come with us, and we went home and cleaned up. I know a place that serves the best wings on the planet. It was called Hackett's and was owned by an old friend of mine. He was an older black man from Memphis, and he knew how to cook wings. We had a great time, and I didn't want it to end. Carly and the girls took my mind off Sarah, and it felt good to just be human for a while. This couldn't go on forever, and when I got home, there were a dozen missed calls from her on my phone. I turned it off all day, and it lit up like a Christmas tree when I turned it on. I put the girls to bed and called her. "Shell, I need to talk to you," she said. "Can I come?" "You have a date, right?" I asked. "What's up with the asshole?" She began to cry. "Please just let me come, Sheldon. I'll explain everything." "Okay, come," I said. I ended the call, and 30 minutes later, I heard her open the door with her key. I thought about changing the locks. When she walked in, she looked like a wreck. She tried to hug me, but I extended my hand and pushed her away. "Sarah, I swear to God, if you touch me, I'll puke on you," I told her. She immediately began to cry and sat down. "Can I just talk to you?" she cried. "Let me get it all out." I sat down opposite her at the table. She looked at the floor. I know what Sophie said. Her voice was so quiet that I could barely hear her. So you've decided to confess? I asked. Yes, I didn't want to tell you before. I thought you'd hate me. She called me Shell. She threatened to tell you if I didn't. I told her I would, but I couldn't. You were so happy. And I couldn't bear the thought of how it would hurt you. It was, no, I won't say it. We were at the girls' school Christmas party one night, and you left with. We started drinking. You know how it is at these events in Catholic schools. Even Father Mark was drunk and Chloe was. There. He kept telling me how sexy I was. Time passed until someone other than you told me this. I'm getting old, Shell. My breasts have sagged a little, and my ass isn't as firm as it used to be. My hair grows in strange places, and I don't think I'm as beautiful as I used to be. Do you know how many men have courted me over the years? I like that men thought I was sexy. I danced with them, and they tried to touch me. Sometimes I let them. I always knew that at the end of the evening I would come home to you, and we would have sex. I just felt good knowing that. Men wanted to be in my pants. They'll never get around to it, but I was pleased to know that they will want to. Barbara Jansen was there. Do you remember her? She was a freshman when we were graduating. She was a pretty blonde who always thought she was something special. She married one of the teachers at the girls' school. She said something to me about how old I looked, and it really hurt my feelings. Then Mark came over and asked if I wanted to dance. He was just as charming and handsome as ever, and kept telling me how hot I was. I was drunk as hell, and I let him walk out onto the back porch. It was so stupid, but it made me feel very vulnerable. And it gave me satisfaction. Shell, I'm really sorry. After I did this, I felt disgusted with myself. I just couldn't believe that I was the person who could do something like that. Don't touch him, Sheldon. I just wanted to pay that bitch back by showing her that I could take the hot guy with me if I wanted. Sophie came out onto the porch with her companion and caught me. She threatened to tell you. She called me different names and said that I was crazy for bullying you. She said if I had told you, she wouldn't have mentioned it. I couldn't tell you. I was so ashamed, and I was so afraid that you would leave me. I told her what I told you, and you forgave me. I wish I had told you. That's when it all started again. I screwed up, Shell. I'm a stupid bitch, and I screwed up. I'm really sorry. I hate myself. And if I made you hate me, I don't know how I'll live with myself. I've never loved anyone but you. I will never be. You're welcome, Shell. Do not hate me. Please forgive me. I swear to God. If you allow me to make amends, I will work like a slave to do so. I'll do whatever you say. Please do not leave me. Please don't take my girls from me. What can I do? I'll do anything. Now I know that you will never accept this. Sarah, I don't know what you can do, I said. I didn't have time to decide what I was going to do. How can I trust you? You lied to me several times. You told me you were working late when you were actually sleeping with that jerk. What if I forgive you and one day you have to work late? What should I think? How can I not? Wonder if you're having sex with some guy. How does it work? She cried uncontrollably. I don't know, Shell. All I know is that I love you and the girls, and I see what I've done. I see how my stupidity has hurt us and our family. I don't want to have sex with anyone but you anymore. Shell, I'm just crazy. You're an amazing lover, but I'm so horny thinking about what we did back then. It should be easy for me to understand what you want to do. Do you still love me? That's the problem, Sarah. I still love you. I'm just not sure you ever loved me. I'm not sure I trust you on anything. No, I'm sure I don't believe it. Everything you tell me is a lie. Do you want to tell me the truth? I'll never know, and I don't think I'll ever believe anything you tell me. Here's your chance. If you are hiding something, let's tell me now. It won't make any difference. I can't be more angry at you than I am right now. This is your only chance. I swear to God I'm honest, she said. There is nothing more. I love you, Sheldon. I don't love anyone anymore and never have. I did it. It was easy. Don't say that, Sarah. I interrupted her. You were going to deceive, and you did. It wasn't. No, okay. I know you don't want to hear it. I just want you to understand that this means nothing to me. I don't like Mark and Chloe. It was just amazing sex. I thought you might want to join us, but now I see that you would never do that, and it was a mistake. Well, damn, this means something to me, I told her. The problem is that it didn't mean anything to you. If I ate some stranger's pussy, would that mean anything to you? It's not the same, she said. We wanted to include you. You could fuck Chloe. She wants you, Sheldon. It's exactly the same. I told her, forget it. If you're gonna shirk responsibility and minimize the significance of what you did, it won't work. I'm gonna see a lawyer tomorrow. Sarah, I recommend you do the same. For what? She asked. Why do I need a lawyer? When I file for divorce, you'll need one, I told her. She let out a small scream and collapsed. I didn't say anything, and she cried for about 5 minutes. Before she could speak, I don't want a divorce, she sobbed. Please, Shell, why do you want a divorce? I told you I would do anything. You can't even admit how bad you screwed up, I told her. You're trying to make excuses and downplay your betrayal as if it didn't mean anything. No, I'm not trying, she protested. I can see how much it hurt you, and I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to make you understand that I only love you. They meant nothing to me. You're my man. So you were willing to betray me for people who mean nothing to you. Is that what you're telling me? Is that supposed to reassure me? I don't know what I'm saying, she cried. I'll say whatever you want. I'm just trying to say something to get another chance. To get you to forgive me. Tell me what you want to hear. How about sorry, Sheldon? I screwed up. And it won't happen again. Yes, I'm sorry. I screwed up and I won't do it again. Can I please come home, Shell? I'm dying without you. It's killing me that I can't be around girls. I'll do anything. I'll sleep in the guest room. I'll be your slave. I'll cook and clean, and you can use me however you want. You can make friends or whatever you need to get through this. I probably will, I told her. I met someone I'm really interested in. I was afraid of it, she said. Go on a date with her. Bring her here and I'll cook you dinner. I'm completely serious, Shell. I will do everything to be a part of your life. I will serve dinner. And after that I will please her if you want. I just want to live with you and the girls. If you want to fuck me, we can just be sex friends. Just give me a chance to get you back. I will never be with another man again for the rest of my life. If you need to take revenge or punish me, I know I deserve it. I'll take my hits and never complain. Just give me a chance. Let me think about it, I told her. I'll call you tomorrow and tell you that I've decided. Don't say a word to the girls, okay? No, I won't. I'll do whatever you say. Thank you for talking to me, Sheldon. I know I don't even deserve this. You're a good person, and I take advantage of your kindness. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. I'm dying inside. Being away from my family. Maybe you should have thought about it. No, forget it. I won't humiliate you, I said. I need you to talk to someone, Sarah, pastors or rabbis or counselors or something like that. I don't think you have the right moral compass. Will you do it? Yes, I will do anything, she said. She left and I lay there all night without sleeping. I didn't want her back. The fact that she couldn't take what she did seriously, that it didn't mean anything to her, bothered me. How could I take her back when she didn't even see anything wrong with her actions? The only thing she regretted was that she hurt me and almost lost her family. It was so bad on so many levels that I didn't even know where to start. The problem was the girls. How could I ruin my children's lives by kicking out their mother? I fell asleep, still confused about what to do. This morning I got some clarity. The girls loved their mother, and she was wonderful. They didn't deserve this, and I needed to make their life the best it could be. I was sure that living with a cheating wife would not be good for them. I took the exit. I called into work and got the day off. When the girls stood up, I told them I was picking them up from school so we could talk. This was the most difficult conversation of my life. I didn't tell them their mother was a cheating bitch. I just told them that we have some problems that we need to solve. She was not going to live with us, and we tried to solve our problems. They cried as if someone had died. At first they accused me of ruining everything. But when I told them I didn't do anything, they understood it. Did Mom do something bad? Asked Cambrai. Dad, did she cheat on you? I'm not going to tell you anything bad about your mother, I told them. She loves you very much, and you shouldn't blame her for anything. This has nothing to do with you girls. You are the best girls I could ever imagine, and we both love you with all our hearts. Just give me a chance to sort this out, okay? They reluctantly agreed, and we talked for a long time. I called Sarah, and we met for lunch. She was confused when I told her I needed some space. I get angry every time I look at you, Sarah, I told her. You need to stay away from me. I decided that I could never forget what you did. You may have cost me any relationship I have with anyone in my family. I'm divorcing you, Sarah. I'll let you date girls anytime you want. We have a prenuptial agreement that if either of us ever cheats, the house will remain with the innocent party. You won't get hurt because of the money. I'll take care of that. Now this bitch is out to play. She called me every name in the book, promised to turn the girls against me and clear me in court. I wished her well and left. Carly called me after school and was worried about the girls. She noticed that they were not at school and became very worried. I promised her they were okay, and she asked if she could come over on Saturday and talk to me. There was a car event on Saturday, and I planned to go to it. I asked her to go, and she agreed. In the morning, Sarah picked up the girls, and I went to pick up Carly. She was beautiful as always. She was wearing the tightest jeans I'd ever seen, and the sight of her ass jiggling in those jeans could bring a dead man to life. Her large breasts swayed under her button-down shirt, clearly without a bra, making it difficult for me to speak. It seemed to me that my throat was dry. We drove 50 miles, and we talked a lot. She finally broke down and told her story. She was engaged to a businessman in the city where she grew up. They met in high school and fell in love. She was so happy that she must have missed some obvious signs because she caught her groom in the dressing room with one of her bridesmaids on her wedding day. She left without saying a word to anyone and never contacted anyone from her hometown again. She ended up in our city and got a job as a teacher at a school where girls went. She was clearly upset, and the memories were still fresh and painful for her. I understood perfectly how she felt. I told her what was going on between me and Sarah. Her eyes filled with tears when I finished speaking, and mine were a little wet too. She leaned over and put her head on my shoulder. Her hair was a big ball. There were these curls, about a foot long, that stuck out in all directions. It was the sexiest thing I've ever seen. My phone rang after we arrived at the exhibition, and it was my mother. Sheldon, we need to sit down and talk, she said. I'm calling a family meeting. Gail and Helen are coming here, and we'll meet here at the house. Will the bastard be there? I asked. Your brother has something to tell you, she said. I told you what would happen, I said. Don't call me again, ex-mom. Sheldon, don't be like that, she begged. Okay, he won't be there. Will you come? Wait a minute, I said because Carly was trying to get my attention. Talk to them, Sheldon, she said. It's the only way to move forward. Have you talked to your family? I asked her. She smiled sadly. No, but I know I should, and so do you. Okay, Mom, when is the meeting? I asked. Dinner is at 6 tonight, she said. No dinner, I told her. I'll be there at 7:30. I ended the conversation. I had a good time with Carly, and she held my hand while we looked at the cars. We talked a lot on the way home, and I asked her if she would come to me after this, so that I could tell everything. She promised, and I took her home. I feared hell at this meeting. I returned home and tried to eat some food. This only upset my stomach, and I took a couple of antacids. I started the old Charger and drove off. It was right, and the growl calmed my nerves. I'm sure they heard me a block before I arrived, and my mother was out the door before I got there. She hugged me, and I stood there like a pillar. When she looked at me, there were tears in her eyes. She didn't say anything. She just took my hand and led me inside. I heard the lock click and saw my father standing at the door with a baseball bat. We won't let you destroy this family with your stubbornness, he said. Come and sit down. Well, that was interesting. My sisters, Gail and Helen, took my arms, and I sat between them. Then 3 traitors came out of Mom's bedroom. I looked at my mother. This is your brother. She's your wife. Chloe is your sister-in-law. She said, we can overcome this. Okay, ex-mom, I told her, you just lost your son and your only 2 granddaughters. He's a bastard. Not my brother. She's a bisexual bitch. And that's a cheater. I guess you're a mommy bitch now. And you're the pimp at the door. Aren't you too? I asked my sisters. We just love you. Gail said, we're with you no matter what. I want to leave. I said, do you want to go with me tonight? I want to introduce you to someone. Girls, I thought you would help. The mother bitch began to panic. Yes, we will help Sheldon, Helen said. What, you thought we were here to help these bastards? We stood up together and walked to the door. The pimp made a motion with the bat and I kicked him below the belt. He dropped the bat and collapsed on the floor, letting out a hoarse cry. I took the bat and turned around. The asshole saw death in my eyes and ran through the kitchen to the back door. I turned to bitch. Her eyes widened and she crawled after her idiot husband. I threw my head back and laughed. I'm charging you with false imprisonment. I told mother bitch. Don't call, write, send cards, or try to contact the girls. I'm getting a restraining order against all of you. She fell to her knees, crying hysterically. Please, Sheldon, don't do this. I'm really sorry. I'll fix everything. It's too late, I told her. You had your chance. You chose a side. Good luck to you for the rest of your life. It's a shame you'll spend it with people who cheat on their spouses. The restraining order will affect you too, I told the bitch. You are mentally unstable. And I will never leave the girls alone with you again. Helen went upstairs and took the twins. They looked at everyone strangely but said nothing. The bitch was crying hysterically. The girls and I left without saying a word and walked down the driveway. Do you want to drive? I asked Gail. I threw her the keys. She squealed with excitement. Really, Sheldon, I always wanted this, but you never let me. You made the right choice. I told them, I love my little sisters. I let them drive my cars. On the way home, we bought Chinese food and Helen tried to break our necks. On the way home, I called Carly and we bought food for her. When she entered, the twins flew across the room and rushed at her. Each of them took her hand and led her to their aunts. This is our teacher, Miss Brooks. Cambray introduced her. I think she's Daddy's girl too. Carly blushed furiously and looked absolutely adorable. Cambray, we're just friends. You shouldn't say things like that. Well, since Mom cheated, we want you to be with Dad, Carmen told her. Girls, that's enough. I scolded them. You are embarrassing our guest. Let's go to bed with you. Sorry, Daddy came a quiet chorus. Aunt Helen, Aunt Gail, will you read our book to us? They took their aunts upstairs and left Carly and me in awkward silence. I walked up to her, and she looked a little scared. I took her hands and pulled her towards me. Her curls tickled my chin, and she melted next to me. How about it, Carly? I muttered. Do you want to be my girlfriend? She raised her head and looked into my eyes. Those huge brown eyes were full of golden glitter. She whispered. Kiss me, and then I will decide. Her lips were the softest, sexiest pillows I've ever felt. She pulled back a little and looked at me, assessing my emotions. Apparently, she liked what she saw because she let me pull her close again, burying her face in my shoulder. I won't be with you until you are with her, she told me. I understand, I told her. I'm not her, Carly. I won't become one either. It will take time to resolve. All of this, I have the rest of my life, she said. The next morning I went to see a lawyer. Her name was Marcy Gray, and she was very rude. I think at first she thought I was leaving my wife for a class upgrade. She was in her mid-40s and had the largest natural breasts I had ever seen. She was short, very curvy, and also pretty. I wanted her to like me, but we started off on the wrong foot. If you are here to refuse to pay alimony, you need another lawyer, were the first words out of her mouth. This made me angry. Okay, that's not why I'm here. But thanks for meeting me. I got up and left. I stopped by her secretary and asked how much the Appointment cost. She opened her mouth, but Miss Gray interrupted her. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she screamed. "You can't just leave like this." "Look," I told her, "I don't know who you think you are, lady, but you can bite me. I don't have to listen to insults, especially from people I pay. Goodbye." She swelled up like a frog. She opened her mouth and then started laughing. She laughed until she cried and came up and took my hand. "I'm sorry." She wiped away tears of laughter. "Sometimes I forget that there are decent men in the world. I see so many assholes every day that I forget. No one has spoken to me in so many years. Please accept my apology. Come back and talk to me. Tell me what's going on." Despite my doubts, I allowed her to take me back to her office, and she poured me a very good scotch. I told her the story, and she became rude again, but this time it was mostly directed at my ex-family and Suki. She called the secretary and asked to bring the forms. I paid the advance and signed my name 10,000 times. She promised to file a restraining order that same day and begin divorce proceedings as soon as possible. She shook my hand and the ball started rolling. 3 days later, bitch was notified and my ex-family was charged with false imprisonment and making threats of terror. The pimp was even charged with attempted assault for his actions with a baseball bat. The bastard and his wife were charged with inflicting intentional emotional harm, and life looked good. The twins were with me, and the bitch was not allowed to come within 500 feet of us. Marcy Gray called me the next week and said that my ex-family's lawyer wanted to arrange a meeting. I refused, but she said it was in everyone's best interest, so I went. My only condition was that the bastard would not be present. Everyone agreed, and we sat down at Marcy's conference table. They were very remorseful and full of regrets. They wanted me to drop the charges against them and were willing to do almost anything to make that happen. I told them that if they signed agreements that they would never contact me or talk to the girls, I would drop the charges except those involving the bastard. Marcy took it with humor, and they agreed to all the terms except the last one. Chloe and Mom agreed, but for some reason the pimp was hesitant. He'd seemed only comfortable with a baseball bat in his hands. Mom threatened to kick him herself, and he finally agreed. Macy was out of breath, and I told him I wasn't going to do it right away, but he had to be ready. They signed the papers and left. As soon as the door slammed, Marcy burst into laughter. I told her that a woman with breasts that size shouldn't laugh like that, and she ran to the bathroom. When she returned, she was calm until she saw me, and this caused another fit of laughter. "Sheldon, you're such an idiot," she gasped. "You almost made me pee. You know, I couldn't put that on the paperwork, right?" I laughed. "Well, yeah, but I like to think he's worried about me coming over to get mine today. You are cruel, boy." She finally calmed down. "Are you going to stick with it? You have no idea how much I've suffered because of the bastard. Over the years," I told her, "he stole my toys, caused me more problems than you can imagine. And it was all normal for them because he was the youngest. Jesus, Marcy, he slept with my wife. And they put up with it. It was mine stubbornness. That was the problem. I'm done with them. I hope they all die alone and suffer. I don't think I blame you," she said. "The divorce will be finalized in 60 days. What are you going to do now?" "Move on," I told her. "I have a couple plans. I even have a few plans for the bastard." She looked at me suspiciously. "You won't need a criminal lawyer, right?" "God, I hope not," I said. "Are you good at family law?" "I practice family law," she said. "I'll get you out, but I'll have to recommend a colleague if you're accused of a crime." I didn't expect to be blamed. The bastard walked out of a bar one night and was attacked by 3 masked men who dragged him into an alley. They beat him half to death, especially concentrated below the belt. The police report said they asked him the same question over and over again, but he couldn't understand it. It was, "What frequency?" "Kenneth." He said he didn't know any. Kenneth, and had no idea who they were or what the frequency was. I was with Sarah and the girls at this time and was never questioned. After he got out of the hospital, he was at home while Chloe was on a business trip and there was a home invasion. He was beaten again, this time by 4 guys. The question was different. They asked him why he didn't wear the regulation socks. He had no idea what regulation socks were, so they played ping pong with his dignity. I was on a date with Carly. A month later, he was waylaid in the parking lot near his work. He was unable to determine the number of attackers, but they were interested in the frequency and did not approve of his choice of socks. His male organ was victimized when it was wrapped in duct tape and used as a hair remover. He won't need waxing for a while. I was at the Twins soccer game with Sarah. The police questioned me at that time, but I had ironclad alibis for all the attacks. 2 months later, his car started having problems, 3 times a week for 2 weeks. When he left work, he had a flat tire. There were mysterious holes in the sides, perhaps the size of an ice pick. Security began to monitor this and his ability to keep air in. His tires at work was restored, but when he went into stores or bars or left his car unattended for even a minute, the disease returned. Injector problems put him out of action for some time due to mothballs in his fuel. The mechanic said it was most likely caused by mothballs in the gas tank. How they got there remained a mystery. His barbecue grill exploded when he tried to light it a month later. There was a gas leak, and he lost his eyebrows and eyelashes and the front of his hair for a while. This series of misfortunes continued until the airbag in his car deployed unexpectedly and caused a collision with a tree. Of course, by then the pillow had fallen off, and he was injured in the accident and ended up back in the hospital. His wife, the charming Chloe, decided that his failures might begin to affect her and filed for divorce. He was afraid to leave the house and took a job in Cleveland selling tires. My life was going great. The divorce went smoothly and I was free. Carly and Sarah hung around each other for about a month, but one day Sarah asked her out for drinks and dancing. The girls got along quite well, and the tension between Carly and Sarah in the house eased when they were there together. After the date, I started taking Sarah out to lunch about once a week, and we became pretty good friends again. We talked about girls and how things were going at work, and I remembered how much I enjoyed just talking to her. She seemed to be doing well and told me that she really liked Bob. We didn't talk about the past, and that was good. The Saturday after the divorce became official, Sarah was with the girls, and I invited Carly to hang out. We went to the mountains and attended a big local festival. We checked out crafts, ate local food, and went on carnival rides. I asked her to dance that evening, and around 1 a.m., when we were in a good mood, we left. When I took her home, she invited me to come in, and I didn't hesitate. She stopped in the living room and asked me to unbutton her dress. I ran my fingers over her silky skin until the zipper came undone, and she shuddered. I watched her fantastic ass quiver as she walked towards her bedroom door. She stopped and looked back at me. She raised one eyebrow and nodded her head before disappearing into the darkness. My heart was pounding and my mouth was dry when I walked in and saw her in the moonlight. The dress slid to the floor, and she was the subject of a shadow exploration. She wasn't wearing a bra and her panties were black. I came up behind her and cupped her breasts. They were everything I could have dreamed of and 1,000 times more. We made slow, passionate love for a long time. She raised her head to look at me. "Sheldon, I'm in love with you," she whispered. "Do you love me?" "More than you can imagine," I told her. I thought I'd never be happy again. "Carly, I was wrong. My girls make me happy, and you make me happy. I really love you. I think I'm the luckiest guy in the world. We should send Bastard a thank you card." She laughed. "Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm happy here with you too." We whispered to each other things that meant nothing and everything until we fell asleep with this gorgeous woman in our arms. 2 months later, she moved in with me, and the twins went to school with her every day. After 6 months, I realized I couldn't live without her and bought her a ring. I told the girls I was going to ask her to marry me, and I couldn't believe how excited they were. She was their idol, and they worshipped at her altar. I called Sarah. She wasn't happy, but she said she wanted me to be happy. I found out that Bob asked her this question, and she delayed his answer. She said she was going to say yes, and I wished her well. I hoped that she had learned something from her experience, so that Bob wouldn't have to go through what I had to go through. I didn't say any of this. I took Carly to a nice Italian place and pulled out the ring. She squealed, and there were no questions asked. When we returned home, the girls were already waiting for us and surrounded us. "Can we call you Mom?" Canberra asked her. "We already have a mom, but we decided that we want to call you Mom." Carly fell to her knees and squeezed them tightly. "Yes, thank you, girls. It would be an honor for me. I have loved you from the day I met you. You will always be my little girl. I'm not trying to take your mother's place, but I would be proud to have two angels like you call me mother. We got married, a year has passed, and every day I love her more and more. I have never been so happy, and she is still a goddess of sex in bed." Sarah married Bob, and they had a boy. I've never heard anything from my ex-family, and I don't think I ever will. My sisters sometimes mention them, but they don't have much to do with them either. Sometimes you just have to live with your choices. They did theirs, and I did mine. The worst day of my life was pretty bad, but I have a feeling that better days are yet to come. Carly will take care of it. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.